Let's talk about listing contracts. So you're ready to sell your house and sign that exclusive right to sell with your realtor, but you want to know, what can I negotiate here? Is this standard? Are there any hidden fees? Hi, I'm Lydia, a realtor here in Tipp City, Ohio, and on this channel, we talk about all things living in the Miami Valley. Today, I'm answering questions I get all the time. What can I negotiate? And this video was requested by one of my subscribers, so just so you know, I listen. I read every comment, and if you have an idea or a suggestion or content that you're looking for and it makes sense for my channel, I'd love to hear about it, and who knows, maybe I'll make a video just for you. Now, since I first started in real estate, one of my biggest issues with the industry is lack of education. Real estate involves large transactions and often contracts are entered into without legal representation, so consumers are left to fend for themselves and sometimes wonder if they got taken advantage of. As a real estate agent, I can't offer legal advice and I can't write contracts. Because I work with these specific contracts on a weekly basis, I am able to explain a lot that your average Joe might not know. Here in the Dayton area of Ohio, we use contracts that have been written by a team of lawyers in conjunction with the Dayton Area Board of Realtors. My authority extends to filling in the blanks on these contracts, and if a client requires something more individualized, they need to hire a lawyer. Even as it is now, best practice would be to have a lawyer look over any contract that you enter into, unless you're confident of your understanding of it. So on this video, I want to talk about those blanks on the contract. Sometimes asking questions is awkward and people worry about offending their agent, but if an agent is offended by you asking a question about a contract, that's a red flag. Now, just because these points on the contract are negotiable doesn't mean that the agent that you've chosen will negotiate. It's a rare circumstance that I would adjust any of my standard terms because I know how much it takes to sell a house, and a seller is always free to find a discount brokerage if that's what they're looking for. There's a whole debate and legal battle in our industry right now that regards some of these things, and if you want to know more about that, you can watch this video. But that's a rabbit hole we are not going to go down today. Okay, so let's dig into this contract. First, what is the exclusive right to sell contract or listing contract? In real estate, this contract is a legally binding agreement between a seller and a real estate agent, or actually their brokerage. It grants the agent exclusive rights to market and sell the property on behalf of the seller. While many parts of this contract are standard and non-negotiable, such as names of the parties involved and the legal property description, there are several aspects that can be negotiated to suit the needs and preferences of both the seller and the agent. So what are the negotiable elements of the exclusive right to sell contract? I'm going to be going over the actual Dayton Realtors exclusive right to sell contract in this video. I'll give you some other names as well for different sections in case you aren't in this area. Most listing contracts are going to have all of these parts, they just might be called something else. The first section is not negotiable. It's just fill in the blank with owner's names, brokerage, legal description of the property, and things like that. Our first negotiable blank is under number 2, listing period. This refers to the duration of the listing agreement. While standard contracts often have a set duration, this is also negotiable. Some sellers may prefer a shorter listing period, while others may want a longer commitment from their agent. Typically in our area, these are about 6 months. If you have a home over $400,000, those usually take a little longer to sell, so it could be more. Luxury listings are often for at least a year. A couple notes on this one: if you love and trust your realtor, there should be no problem putting the standard 6 months in. It's in their best interest to sell as quickly as possible, but a lot of that depends on you as well. The market speaks. If your house is not getting many showings, or it's getting showings but no offers, you need to be willing to make changes. If you want to hold out for that needle in a haystack buyer, that's your prerogative. However, it's extremely unfair to hold out for the duration of the contract until it expires and then drop the price or replace the carpet and go with another agent. Here's my fair warning on this though. I do think it's perfectly acceptable to do a shorter term and not feel bad about letting it expire and switching agents if you have an agent who pretty much guarantees a sale at a certain price. Which brings me to the next blank and negotiable point of the contract, and that is number 3, terms of sale or listing price. I unfortunately have come up against many agents who will say whatever you want to hear to get you to sign that listing contract with them. It's always a good idea to interview 2 to 3 agents, and if you get significantly different price points, going with the agent who says they can get the most out of your house is not always the best option. I've seen this especially for sale by owner. Research has shown that homeowners overestimate the value of their properties by around 8%, and in my personal experience, it's even higher than that. So if an agent is wanting to list a house, that can be a really awkward conversation, and one many agents aren't willing to have. Many agents will just agree with the homeowner on the value of the home, knowing full well that they will likely need to drop the price. So if you have 2 agents telling you, based on their research, that they'd price your house around $300,000, and another agent saying, oh yeah, I think we can get $350,000, I think it's very fair to make them put their money where their mouth is, shorten the contract term, and if they don't sell in a couple months, give one of the more honest agents a call and let them list it. A few caveats to this. I am always going to be honest about what the stats say about the value of your house. Sometimes there's not enough comps, and if your house is in a unique location or has unique features, sometimes you do need to just make your best guess, but then just be willing to be flexible as the market speaks. Pricing strategy is tricky, and if you want to learn more about how to price your house right, or you wonder why your house isn't selling, you can watch these videos. A lot has to do with what your priorities are, and a good agent is going to ask you a lot of questions and talk through different options and strategies based on your goals and timeline. So you do want to be flexible with them as they're trying to meet your goals. Sometimes that means that your house is going to take longer to sell. So it just depends on how you want to work that out. And good communication is so important during that time period. Now, I am not saying that any agent who has to drop the price is being dishonest at all. Oftentimes, like I said, you do the research. As long as they can back it up with research of why they feel like it should be priced at that point, that's different than just saying, oh yeah, I can sell it for that price, but not really having anything to substantiate it. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, next up is under number 4, brokerage fee or commission rate. Typically, real estate agents charge a percentage of the final sale price as their commission. Some agents do not have the ability to negotiate this, as it's actually the brokerage that you're entering into a contract with, not the agent themselves usually. Something to keep in mind is that this is the total commission that you're going to pay. In this area of Ohio, 6% is the most typical, but you see an occasional 7% or 5%. Sometimes I've seen advertised at 1%, but that number can be very deceiving as it's a very limited listing that they're offering. They don't offer all of the things that a full offering does, and it also doesn't include paying the buyer's agent, typically 3%. So you're actually looking at 4% when it's all said and done, or you're looking at much lower offers if a buyer's agent's need to build their 3% into the offer. I'll talk more about that in a minute. If an agent is asking 7%, they should substantiate that additional percentage. Maybe they offer extra benefits and services. It's okay to ask questions. It's very okay to ask questions. It's a good idea. There are other negotiable and non-negotiable points regarding how that commission is used. One important question to ask an agent when you are interviewing is, what is included in the commission, and are there any additional expenses to consider? Watch out for extra fees here. They should put any fees above the commission percentage in the blank space, like this, it would be 6% plus $4.99 admin fee or something like that. But sometimes they don't, and you don't see that admin fee or that transaction fee until the closing documents go out. That is not okay. There is no standard here. All agents have fees and costs associated with listings. Some hire transaction coordinators to handle a lot of the workload. Some have assistants that they need to pay. Some brokerages charge their agents a fee per transaction. It's up to the individual agent to decide if they pull those costs and expenses out of their part of the commission, or if they charge additional fees to their clients, and those should be disclosed up front. I personally pay for those fees out of my portion of the commission, and I don't like charging anything extra above that. The next negotiable section on the Dayton board contract is number 5, other brokers. This talks about what portion of that total commission that we already talked about you're paying, what portion of that is set aside for cooperating brokerages. In other words, how much is being offered to the buyer's agent. Now again, if you want more info on this, you can watch a much more detailed video, but the bottom line is this: the commission percentage that you pay doesn't change based on this. The total commission you are agreeing to pay is outlined in number 4, the brokerage fee section. This other brokerage section and the percentage that is displayed there doesn't affect how much you pay at closing. However, it is important. It is in your best interest as the seller that the agent or brokerage that you hire is attracting the most buyers to the table. Buyers are represented by their own agents usually, and those agents need to be paid. Instead of expecting buyers to pay their down payment and their closing costs and also on top of that pay their agents, most listing agents offer a portion of their negotiated commission to the buyer's agent as an enticement to bring their buyers. And that's all laid out in that listing agreement that you sign. Let's say your listing agent offered a typical 6% commission in the blank on number 4. Here in number 5, you can see whether they are sharing that commission with buyer's agents or not. Why is this important? Most agents split the whole commission in half. So they'd keep 3% and then they'd offer the other 3% as compensation to the agent bringing the buyer. If the total is 6% and you see that they are offering 2.5% to buyer's agents, then you need to know that they are keeping 3.5%. And all the agents representing buyers can see they aren't offering as much as many other agents do. Again, this is all negotiable, and there's nothing wrong with this, but it's important that you understand. Generally, the higher the percentage offered to a buyer's agent, the more motivated they are to bring their buyers, so it doesn't benefit you as a seller to offer less. This is also how some agents offer 5% commission. They might take less themselves, but they also offer less to the buyer's agents, which isn't necessarily the best way to get your house in front of the most buyers. Okay, I've got to tell you this story. I ran into an agent who told me he doesn't share his commission. He felt like he deserved the whole thing because he works with farms and it takes a while to get those listings. Newsflash, every single listing takes time to nurture and build. Anyway, I couldn't help but feel sorry for the sellers on this deal because they probably thought that they were getting a good deal since he only charged 5% commission. But in reality, they ended up netting a lot less than they would have if their agent would have shared their commission. In this particular deal, instead of offering the $486,000 that we had planned to offer, we only offered $480,000, so the buyer could pay me a flat rate of $6,000 commission, since that agent wouldn't share theirs. So my buyer paid the same amount they were gonna pay anyway, $486,000. I made $6,000 less than I'd usually make on a sale for that amount, but I was happy to do that for my client. But here's the kicker. The seller made $6,000 less than they would have otherwise. And the agent that was supposed to be representing the seller's best interest made an extra $12,000. So you see, sellers, less commission isn't always better, and it does matter whether your agent plays nice with other agents. Now this next one isn't a blank on the contract, but it's an important negotiation piece. And that's what is included, or what does the agent pay for and what do you as a seller pay for? This requires asking questions. Unless the agent lays it all out for you in their presentation, some agents just stick a sign in the yard and they post the listing to MLS so it gets pushed out to Zillow and realtor.com. Those things are very important, but also they're pretty standard. And the only reason that you wouldn't want to allow your agent to do that would be if you need to keep the sale private, or if maybe your HOA doesn't allow a sign, that sort of thing. Otherwise, spread the word wide and far. The more people who know about your house being for sale, the wider your pool of buyers. Now, there are some other services some agents offer over and above this, and that can include staging advice or service, cleaning advice or services, professional pictures or videos, walkthrough tours, social media posts, YouTube videos, online ads, listing boosts, website flyers, open houses. Some of these would be included in the commission fee, and some an agent might ask clients to pay for. Around here, most agents include professional pictures as part of the cost covered, but not all of them do. So if you hire someone for a lower commission, they will likely offer a lot less, which makes sense. Some more seasoned agents that you will find haven't changed their marketing package in like 20 years. So they still include like flyers to the neighborhood and open houses and things that made sense then but really don't make a lot of sense now. They're often more beneficial to marketing their own services as an agent as opposed to marketing your actual home. Now, I'm not saying these things aren't sometimes effective to help sell your house, but I personally believe marketing dollars are generally better spent to boost listings online, since that's where most people find homes now. I also believe every listing is different and requires different strategy. So cookie cutter and one-size-fits-all models aren't always the best. Side note, if an agent is trying to convince you to list with them because they're in the top percentage in their region, or because their brokerage is the biggest, or because they've sold 100 homes in 2 months, or whatever, although it might seem impressive on the surface, what you really want to know is what are they doing specifically for your home? And how available are they going to be for your questions? And how often do they plan to communicate? Okay, one little blank we have not discussed on this one is called the terminal period. I feel like this should have been up in the listing period, but instead it's down here in number 4, the brokerage fee. This is basically a period of time after the contract expires that the seller is still responsible to pay the commission fee to the listing brokerage if a buyer comes who made contact with the property during the time the listing agent was marketing it. I know that's a mouthful. This doesn't apply if you list with another agent, but it's more to protect agents from sellers finding a buyer through the agent's efforts and then waiting for that listing to expire or terminating the contract in order to then side negotiate directly with the buyer and not pay commission. This is rarely needed, but it's an extra protection to the listing agent. When it comes to large sums of money, unfortunately, you can't be too careful. And I have come across at least one seller who was very crafty and tried to get agents to put in a lot of money up front and market, but then wiggle out of the contract and negotiate a deal on the side with a buyer. That person never even actually ended up selling their house. Now, I know you'd never do that, so that number doesn't really matter too much, but I usually put in 120. Any more seems extreme, and any less wouldn't be enough to protect me. The only other blanks on this contract is number 11. You just need to put a check mark on whether you have electronic surveillance or not. That needs to be disclosed to those seeing your house if you do. And number 13, it gives permission to use a sign in the yard at Lockbox on your door. Again, most of the time this is to your benefit. You want to make your home as available as possible. However, there are some circumstances where you might not want this, and so you have the option of declining. Obviously, there's more to this contract than what we discussed here, and I do always recommend reading through the entire contract and asking questions until you understand. But I at least hit up the negotiable pieces for you today. So, the exclusive right to sell contract in real estate is not set in stone, even though it might seem that way. By carefully considering and negotiating terms, both sellers and agents can work together to achieve their goals. Sellers should feel comfortable with the terms, and agents should be fairly compensated for their work. A well-negotiated contract sets clear expectations and can lead to a smoother real estate transaction. I plan to go over what's negotiable on a purchase contract soon, so if you're looking to buy a house, make sure to subscribe so that you don't miss it. Whether you're buying or selling in the Dayton area, or you're just curious about this area, check out these next videos. I also have free e-guides for buyers and sellers and update those every quarter, so if you'd like the latest version of that, just comment, send me a free guide, and I'll be happy to send you a link. Remember, when it comes to real estate, knowledge is power. Stay informed and make wise decisions. Until next time, happy buying and selling.